Okay, that looks like it passed. Ran? Brilliant. Okay, so let's run the game. See if we can find some people to hire a ship to. Okay, let's generate a bunch of new characters. See what happens. I really need to multi-thread this. That would be the thing to do. I haven't quite got around to that yet, but I will do it. Okay, so let's go for Gerald. My name has been Gerald a lot of times. I think that may be a bug. I need to try and look at that. Yeah, I think that is a bug. Amos Bushby, who's he? He's a senator. He has a blue shirt on. He's 83 years old. Doesn't really look it, does he? He definitely needs to be looking a little bit older, I think. We're going to be fixing that. He has a wife. He's quite a well-known guy, so this is all the information you know about him. Oh, I'm friends with his granddaughter. Interesting. Mary. Yeah, she's our friend. Oh, she's quite keen on us. She's added us to her group of friends. So we know a bit about her different connections. I don't know where she is at the moment. But her father's a senator. That is worth knowing. In the future in the game, you'll be able to take advantage of those contacts. Okay, Randy Darbimpole and Robert Crotter Salt. Yeah, all the names are quite similar. I think I need to figure out why that is. I think that there may be some errors there. Okay, right, so we can ask for work. It doesn't have any work for us. Let's see what else we can do. Let's go to the spaceport. There's loads of people there. Okay, one of these guys might be able to help us. Yep, so we've got a few people who are able to help. Do I know any of these people? No, I don't know him. Or Noble. Who can I try? Let's try Normand. Say hello to him. How can I help? What are we good at? Let's see if we can use a tone of voice to our advantage here. That's me. We are extremely wise, so I can be very obliging, which allows us to be very patient with the way that we're communicating, which might be quite interesting. Try and hire a ship. Ah, here we go. It feels like he's warmed up to us. Here's our current selection of ships. Okay, so the only reason that I got this was because of that ship hiring selection, so I should be able to put a breakpoint inside match statement. Sure, I should have done that before, really. Match statement. This one here. Okay, so we can't now do anything here, so we need to stop talking and start talking again. Yeah. And actually, we're just checking to see whether or not this is true. So let's just go through this again. Okay, no, we can't talk to him again. Let's talk to Christopher instead to go through that set. Now, if we click Hire Ship, in this case, we do actually have a hiring component. Yes, so it's split over that. Brilliant. Good. So there should be, yep, we are able to do that, which is really good. Fabulous. Okay, so we're in a good shape here. It means that we're able to yeah, sorry, I'm just double checking the stream's still up. Loads of problems with the stream today. Oh dear, it's always a bit tricky. Was going really well, but then, you know, stream dies, and there we go. Let's see. Okay. Right. Very frustrating when the stream just doesn't work and then suddenly decides to work. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Right, so in this place we can hire a ship because we're in a spaceport, but if we went to, say, here, we can't hire anything from him because he's working. Maybe here. Yeah, he's at the front desk. We don't get the option to hire a ship because we don't have the ship hiring component, whereas we would have done because this guy is in inquiries mode, so we would have done normally. Great, that is working fine, so I'm going to check that in. Okay, right, so yes, what we've done is we've replaced the organization type with a required location component, which is actually really good. Because it means that, yeah, that's just a comment I want to remove. Yeah, that's fine. Great. So that means that we are now much more flexible with those components. So we don't have to specifically set a set of organizations that can have ship hiring ability in the conversations and also in the organization type data. It means that we can just decide to add or not add a component as we like. So select conversation statement based on components, not org types. Okay, so that was the main thing I wanted to do. Let's just see whether or not I've kind of finished that component refactor. I pretty much have. I'm pretty, oops, that's the wrong thing. I'm pretty happy with how it's gone. Everything is now in these components. Yeah, I'm happy with the employer. There's not much in that now. And the ship hire and the enterable, yeah, I mean, that's all pretty good. The historical figure was quite a large object before, so, and I wonder if that's still true. Yes, it is still true, but let's just have a look. Yeah, so I'm not sure we've actually finished this because we have an inorg and an enterer. So at the moment, and let's think about how we want to do this. The entity ID yeah, I need to think. We need to know where we are. Now, the human location currently consists of an enterable ID, which actually should not be a UN16, and an at home. So what we could try and do, and I haven't thought about this too much, is to create homes for everybody who live in a particular place. Now, a home would it be a premises? I don't think it would be a premises. Let's have a look. Might be a premises because it's your premises. Let's have a look at premises. It would be a premises container. A premises just has something in it. So a premises container potentially could it contain homes that aren't premises? Probably not. So it probably needs to be a premises, but it wouldn't have opening times. Need to think about this a little bit. It could potentially have a size. That's not really relevant. The type of building it would be. I don't think it is a premises, but it might be in a premises container, interestingly. It feels like premises is two things. It feels like maybe we need a building component, like a physical building, which exists inside a place. But the reason I chose premises is because I want these things to exist inside space stations too. Maybe it is a location. Maybe it's a location. Interesting. The problem that I have with it is that I would want it to be private. So the premises container would be like a city, and it would list all of the premises that are in that particular place. Now, if I simply just add your home, all the homes for the different characters to it, then that's really annoying, because you would see everybody's homes, but you wouldn't necessarily be able to go in them. But that's not too much of a problem. But you don't necessarily want to be able to see everybody's homes. You only want to be able to see places in which you can go. But that's something that we can sort out separately. Okay, so I think we're going to rename premises container, because premises is something that it is a building, but it has working hours and things like that. So maybe I really need to take working. Maybe I need to keep it called premises, and then change this to an operation. Yeah, that works better. So this stuff maybe needs to live in operation. So let's do that, because it's like a premises, but it's not. It's actually got more to it. So what I'm thinking, and I'll just play with this. I've just checked in, so I've got. Oh yeah, I can take that. So that means a premises only contains a premises container entity ID, which is fine. Which means that if I go to the premises code, which I think I've got here, save that as operation, and then rename all of that stuff to operation. Yeah, and then just rename those as well. Interesting. So that means ooh, what have I just done? It looks like I've got some old code here that exists in operation. Well, I can remove that. So yeah, that's frustrating. Very frustrating. I don't really want this old home. Gun Games, are you using Linux? I am using OS 10. This is OS 10. It looks like Linux. It's not actually. It is actually a Mac. I'll prove it to you. Hang on a minute. There we go. It's a Mac. So yeah, it's oh, you saw that with the iTunes stuff. There it is. I like Macs. It could easily be Linux. I tend to use them pretty much in the terminal anyway. The only problem with Macs is that in terms of raw power, you don't get as much as you get when you're using Linux. Yeah, Linux development is also great. I'm planning on getting a desktop. I've got an old Litecoin server sitting down over there, which has 2 stonking graphics card in it. But is yeah, I'm sure you do. Sure you know what OS X is. But yeah, so it's the problem with this Litecoin server is that it's inefficient to run now, so it's been sitting off for about 6 months. So what I plan to do is buy another motherboard and processor and build 2 Linux machine, a Linux machine and a Windows machine out of it, so I can do cross-platform stuff. I'll probably do that towards the end of the summer, so that I can kind of get this game shipped on multiple platforms. At the moment, it's just in OS 10, but it will definitely be going in on Windows as well, and probably Linux as well if I can manage it. Okay, so anyway, we had this problem here, yeah, so we've got to basically copy all of this. We need to select all of that and just paste it over. Done. And then we need to go back to Unity, the Unity file, and go for operation. Okay, and then we need in our state or history state, where's premises defined? Premises containers are there. Premises themselves, premises, don't know. I think are contained in here. Yeah, looks like it, but we need operations here too. Okay, so now when we go to new organization, Arch Linux, yeah, I've heard good things. I need to think about it. I've only really used Ubuntu recently. I haven't used Linux in Anger for 10, 15 years, but I used to compile Linux from scratch years ago. And more recently I've used Ubuntu like everybody else, but Arch Linux sounds good and may well happen. I haven't quite got that far yet. Cool, so new organization. So now, instead of premises container, this will all horribly fail because I've moved all of that stuff out of the premises component and switched it to an operation component, which means that all of the stuff to do with it being a business will be not going to work. So this is history. Do I want them in the history? Not really. I think I'm going to rename history to state, and I'm going to rename history to state across the thing as well. Yeah, I think I want them to be in the state. I don't really want them sitting around in my history, which means that needs to go into new state, CPP, or H I should say. Yeah, let's pop them in here. Do I need lots of them? Yes, I'm going to need lots of them because they are, oh no, operations I don't need a lot of them. Premises, I'm going to need more than that because there could be maybe 1,000 homes as well. So I could just double that. Something like that might work. Difficult to know. I mean, I'll start and then it'll just tell me when I hit the limit. Okay, no mention on operations. Did I mean operation? Yes, I definitely did. There we go. Okay, let's see. Right, no member named operation. I just fixed that. Oh, this one needs to be undone because that was the premises that didn't get saved properly. Okay, so now we don't have a premises size anymore because it's an operation size. And I'm wondering whether or not to move that to the employer size. Well, no, that's fine. I'm going to go with operation, operation, find operation. And this one is going to be operation size. Let's do the next one. No member named opening hours in premises. That's because we don't have one. So we need an operation, operation, push, operation, state, arena, entity ID. And then these are all just operation. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Find operation. Really? Find operation. There it is. Oh, it's needed in new history, so we need to move it a bit higher in the list. No, but it's there. Oh, it's because I'm yeah. Ah. We need the state. That's not the end of the world. We are also going to need the premises container as well. Oh, I can't type today. Premises find premises. There we go. Right, no matching. That's because that one is a history. Oh, no, really can't type today. Hilarious. Right, okay, right, there we go. Name size. Yes, that's right, because it is the operation size. Again, it's the operation size. So does that mean we don't need the premises? I'm pretty sure we don't, so that can just be operation, operation, find operation. And that's quite nice because it means that the idea of it being a kind of a shop or a commercial concern is different from it being a residential type concern. Just rejigging all of this code. Right, so the operation has the type hash, interestingly. Do I still need premises? No. Good. Operation. No, that's not the one I want. I want the find operation, please. That's the one. What's the actual thing that I want to? It's the organization ID. Organization ID. That one. Great, and then that's just the operation. Okay, so use underscore device state. That's underscore. Okay, so premises does no longer have opening hours. I'm pretty sure I use premises in a few places. So I'm going to need operation, operation, find operation, premises ID, operation premises. That's also operation, interestingly enough, as is that. Which means we don't need the operation. Which means that this can simply be the organization ID. Excellent, which means, great. Interesting, so this is actually showing, this is the code that's showing the city with all the premises on it. So what we need here is to do don't show non-operations unless we can visit them. Now the question is, it depends on who owns them, and we're going to need to think about this in a minute. Right, yep, that's fine because I need to actually just pass the state. This one, no, we need type hash in sol premises. Again, we can just switch the operation. Find operation for the state. And this was just the organization ID. And again, this is operation. Oops, operation. Quite pleased about this change. I think it's just a better division of things. Find premises, find enterable. To do only enter the organizations we are, or the operations. Why have we even got premises? Oh, just checking to see whether it's the right thing. So what's the error? Oh, it's the opening hours, yeah. So this is down to whether or not, this is down to the rules about, interesting, whether or not this place is open. Now, if it doesn't have an operation, that means it's not down to whether it's open, it's down to whether or not you're allowed in, because you know them well or not. But you can't just turn up at anybody else's house, you need to be let in. Or unless it's your own house. So we need to think about that a bit. So let's just write some rules here. If we own it, we can go in any time. If we are invited in, we can otherwise we can't even see it. Okay, so we need another component here which is down to access, which we've started already thinking about for ships, so this is a good thing to think about. So, yeah, that's fine. Operation, did you mean operator? At the moment, I'm just going to keep this really simple. I'm just going to do operation like this. We do need to think about those to-dos. The reason I want to do this, I really want to get rid of this idea of just being at home being a Boolean. I want to be able to add homes for the players, which would be really cool. Okay, so that's done. So let's have a look at that change. Yeah, it's reasonably large. Need to think it through. So that's probably worth checking in, assuming it works. No, we have a crash. So why has this suddenly decided to crash? So we're removing an information list. This is an odd place for it to crash, because we haven't really changed this code. Yeah, this has nothing to do with anything. So we've got a dodgy block. Yeah. But why are we even getting this block? Entry in-game acquired knowledge. This should always be null. Yeah, this is totally bogus. Why is the in-game acquired knowledge being written over? I'm doing something new, that's wrong. Let's just make sure that's not just a one-off. Bang, bang, bang. Yeah, that is some kind of memory override, which is frustrating. Let's just make sure we haven't included it by doing it somewhere. Yeah, that's all fine. This stuff is all fine. Yeah, I don't think, it's not something I've just introduced, which is really frustrating. So it could be something from a while ago. I need to check into that. Let's just have a look at, because that's bothering me, where in-game acquired knowledge is actually used. Let's see. Okay, it's a new info block. Blank block is just 0. So when we create a new one, that's guaranteed to, oh, is that guaranteed to be nil? Oh, interesting. Yes, it is. It is guaranteed to be nil. So that should be fine. And we don't really need those in-game acquired knowledge. We're not actually using it. I'm tempted to remove it, but that's not going to get rid of the problem. What to do? I need to think about that. Yeah, I need to think about that. Okay. View city. It still seems to be working. Where are all the people? Oh, a few people here. Oh, there's a little bit of overrun there. We need to figure that out. Okay. Not sure you'd be able to handle anything I could lend you. Oh. She doesn't think much of me. Interesting. Anyway, that seems to have worked. So that's good. The ship land failure is quite interesting though. Ship borrow success. Basically, I failed the ship borrow, which is kind of annoying. Asked to borrow a ship. Yeah, I failed the reflexes test. Interesting. Okay, so anyway, that's fine. So now that operation's done, what I wanted to think about doing is giving everybody a home. Giving everyone a home, that's a pretty awesome thing to do. So the question is how to do that. They're not organizations, they're just homes. Now, when I start the game in the game controller, where are we? Where's the start? Game started. No, this is not it. It's not here. That's just the main game AI loop at the moment. That's the one. Okay, so this starts the game here. So we could, instead of having this crap at home thing, we could set it to be their home. So that means we need a couple more components. We need a human needs to have an in-premises component. Yes, I think that's correct. Yeah. And then a, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Human needs to have an in-premises component so that we can just set it instead of putting this rubbish location thing. So let's just get rid of, or an enterer. No, because that's linked to enterable. So yeah, this is bogus. At the moment it has an enterable ID that we use in order to do its location. And that could be anywhere. Yeah, I think that's probably right. Which means that, should we store it in the historical figure? Not really. That's probably the wrong place for it. Oh, the other thing we need to do is sort out the AI index, definitely. Yeah, we definitely need to do that because we haven't done that yet. But we can do that later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, we're kind of running over time, but you know, we had a really bad start, so it makes sense to run over a bit longer. Just because the internet connection was so appallingly bad. So let's think about this. So we don't need this. We need this down here because we use the human here. But the location, we need something new. So we need to say something like enterer, which is quite close to enterable. That's fine. Find enterer, and this is going to be on the state. And it's going to be on the human entity ID. And then we should be able to say enterer, enterable ID equals whatever the home is. So we need to create home here. So we'll just create a home for everyone at the moment. So equals home entity ID. And the other thing we need is a home entity ID, which is a little bit like the city entity ID, interestingly. It's their home city. You think about that too. There's so much to think about. What I need to try and think about here is what I'm trying to do, in case you've just joined, is I'm trying to figure out how exactly to give all of the humans in the world their home, their own home that they can live in. So we have this concept of an enterer, which we've just added, and basically setting it to the home entity ID. So it'd be reasonably easy. Let's just keep going with this for a minute. To do home entity ID equals push entity. So we can do that easily. And we just do that on state. Now, what things do we want a home to be? So a home is definitely a premises. Premises. It is a premises with a home entity ID. Now that push premises is called elsewhere. Let's see how it's called. Not that one, because that's the one we're doing. Right, yeah, so the premises has a premises container, and that is the human's city. So historical figures have a city, that home city entity ID. So that is easy enough to do. We can just set the premises container to be the human home city. Okay, so now I have a premises. It's got to be enterable as well. So it's not open to socializing, but it can have a number of people there. I think that's probably about it. So that sets the person to be at home. The other thing we want to do is to be able to say the human needs to have a home entity ID anyway, which is going to be human home entity ID equals home entity ID. Perfect. That means that the historical figure, well, let's just run that and see what happens. Okay, so there's no such thing as human location. Character is left location. Well, that can just be enterable ID then. No type here, same here. Same problem here. All right, so the human current city, interesting. So this is now much easier because we can say, based on where they are, it's always just this. So this is just an enterer. Yeah, so now we just need to pass an enterer to that. And we can just look at the enterable ID and say that it is that. Perfect. Next one. Right, so move human to. So this time, when we say we've left location, we want it to be the enterable ID is wherever they were. But it's not a historical figure anymore, it's an enterer. Someone who can move about, basically, through enterable things. So okay, so we don't care about that. We do care about that. And then if human location, and so if enterable ID, well, it should be, because these should always be, yeah. So now we need to find it. Well, it doesn't really matter, because we'll get that anyway. This is enterer. And again, this is enterer, enterable ID. And then we can say enterer, enterer. And then this is an enterable. And we can say that's fine. And this is enterer, entity ID. And then again, we need to just say enterer, and this is the destination. ID. And then what we do is we go through all of the people and we basically say that's got to be enterer, and they all need to see each other. Yeah, fine. Okay, this is good. Liking this. So removing this location and adding locations for their homes is a really good thing to do. Enterer in new history. Oh really? Have I not created enterer yet? An enterer is someone who is in something. So a little bit like premises actually, very similar to premises. Premises, let's see, premises simply contains the thing that it is in these days. Yeah, premises container entity ID. So in the same way, we probably just want an enterer, which contains obviously its entity ID, which we need, but also it contains its, oops, UN32, enterable ID. Cool, so that means that that's really for the humans to use, which means that when we make a baby, in the same way that we do this, we need to be able to say something like enterer equals push enterer state arena entity ID. Yeah, like that. And in the same way, we've also got another place that this is called for some stupid reason. I really need to fix this. So we have two enterers. Now we don't really care about where they are because we use the home city for all of the history stuff. We've got. Oh, and actually, interesting. We don't need this. We don't need to do either of these things, and the reason is because we don't need an enterer. We don't need an enterer at all until. Sorry, just working myself out. We don't need an enterer at all until we get to the point where we actually create them, which is very cool because they don't actually move around. So let's just actually push it here for each of the living entities, because you don't want to create the component for the ones that are dead already, because they will never have one. They will never be in anything. If they are, that's a problem. Right, so this is getting there. And I've just got that wrong, haven't I? I've added the enterer. I need this. Push enterer. There we go. And then we set the enterer to be the home entity ID. Yeah, so we send everybody home to start with. Brilliant. Okay, now, yeah, we need that. So we now have an enterer. This will still not work. Let's see, enterer. Yes, I meant enterer. Welcome if you have just joined us. Human everywhere. So sad there's no aliens. There are plans for aliens. Pickled Bakute, nice to see you again. Ooh, enterable. Oh yeah. There are definite. What have I done here? Move you into enterable. Find enterable. Ah yes. This is source and this is destination. Notice if I could type. I'm thinking about aliens. It's on the radar, I have to say, but it's a stretch goal. Maybe DLC. Maybe I'll do the DLC thing. If people want aliens, they can have aliens. But yeah, I can't. I just need to get the game finished first. Okay, enterable destination. Okay, how are we doing? Getting there? Right. Did I mean enterable? This is destination again. And again there. Okay, location. All right, so human at organization. Are they there? Yeah, this is the wrong. This is just wrong. This could be human at anything. Where do I even use this method? It's never used. Bye. Okay, no member name location. Yeah, right. So moving the human home. You see, moving a human home is now as simple as moving the human to their home. Easy. Pump, state. We still need an arena, don't we? Why do we need an arena? Why do we need an arena? Oh, the influence, yeah. Okay, and so we can just pass that. State arena. No, history arena, that was right. Move human to, this is the enterer. And this one is human home. Actually, this is a historical figure. It doesn't even need to be a human. Figure home. Entity ID. Oops, right, so they can go home. This move human to, we need the enterer, not the historical figure. In fact, I don't even know if I can not just do this and just push this up. I don't really want to go and get this stuff myself. So I can delete all of this nastiness. This is quite good. I'm liking this. Having the home as its own thing is a good thing. Right, now display human location. We need a location for that, but we actually don't. We just need an entity ID. Or even better, we just need the locate is a human location. So we just use the enterable ID. And we get the identifiable from the target city ID. Where does that come from? The human current city. Ooh, interesting. So this is where we use current city. Sorry, this is a real tangle. What I'm doing is I'm just kind of unpicking this slowly. So we have an enterer and we have the home city. The home city we don't need anymore because we don't actually use it. So that is not interesting. That is also not interesting, which means that that is not interesting. Okay, so we've got rid of the need to have the current city from there. Now the current city just comes from, it is literally just finding the premises of the location that we're in. So I think we might just be able to get away with the enterable that we are in. Which would be nice. Enterable ID. Enterable ID. Let's try that. That would be great. This is all kind of dropping out. This is kind of like collapsing down equations. You just kind of get to the point where you... right, so yeah, this actually has no relevance now. Location home, prefix whom, location home. Yeah, we can't do this now, can we? Yeah, so this is interesting. We need the location organization, which comes from the nameable, which is part of the name. Now, a home is not going to be nameable. So if it's not nameable, well, it'd be nice if you could name your home. Interesting. We could give the home a special nameable thing so that you could override it. That would be quite interesting. At home on a particular city. This is interesting. We don't know whether or not this is our home. That's the problem. We could just check the enterable ID against the home. I'm assuming that's where we're calling this. Yeah, we're kind of just setting the home. Yeah, I don't know if I care. I need to think about this. When displaying this thing, at the moment, I think we do need to know whether it's the home or not. Although we could just give it a special nameable, which is based on the surname. Use the fixed one thing in nameable. That's quite an interesting idea. That is quite an interesting idea. Yeah, I quite like that. I'm going to go back to creating the home code that I've got here, and I am going to what I'm going to do is I'm going to push a nameable. I'm going to set the nameable to, this all really does need to be inside something else. So at the moment I'm just going to pop it inside one of these, but I'll probably move into a method pretty soon. Okay, so what am I going to do with this nameable here? Fixed one equals, it's going to be human name. I need the human nameable. No, I don't have the human nameable. I'm going to need it. Nameable human name. And I'll pop this up here. Equals find nameable for the human entity ID. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm creating a nameable thing for our new homes, and I'm basically setting the fixed one, which is basically a number that doesn't change, it's not randomized within the name, to be whatever the human name fixed one is. And I'm also going to set fixed 2, which basically means that you can have a double-barreled name as your home, which is kind of weird, but we'll go with that. This could be interesting. So that means that we've got the nameable, which means that we don't care, we can just use a nameable. I don't know if this is still used. Is this still used? No, that's not used at all, so we can, let's go into the strings file. Sometimes it doesn't, human location home. Right, so we do have these, yeah, we do have these things, but we don't need these and we can say this is an enterable. Yeah, so we don't need that one, and we can call this one enterable. Just call that location prefix. Hash is location prefix. Hash equals location prefix. Oops, and we can just say that to there. Okay, get rid of that. Okay, so now we have the ability to actually name this thing based on the org name. Org name isn't quite right. It's the enterable name. Same here. And this is the enterable name. Okay, so now we just need to say at enterable, at enterable, at enterable. So, interesting. Need to think about this again. So we've got, this is now collapsing down nicely. We're not going to be able to name these things yet though, because we need to go back to the home. The other thing we need to set is the type, which is going to be nameable. It's not a human, it's a home. So I need to create one of those. It's that one. Oh, either one of those. Okay, so let's set nameable home, and then let's search the code base for this. Okay, so that's the type. This is the place where we actually do the thing. So, yeah, in the same way that we do this, this is actually reasonably easy. We just need to say nameable home, and then based on the type hash, we don't really care about the type hash in this instance. We just need to create our own hash, which will be I need to think about this. Do I just want to say at home, or I want to say whose the home is? Interesting. Back to the CSV. What did I have before? Which one? That one? Right, we've got human location enterable. So I could say the hash is human location home at this point. So we're just trying to work out how to display this thing. And I could just use human name. That could work. And I could say this could actually work, believe it or not. Human location enterable. These need to also have long and shorts, don't they? Because if they are no, they only need to have shorts. Because it's gonna add short on for them. That's right. And then we've got to do the same thing here. Human location home short. Is that right? I'm thinking, let's see. display human location. Right, so we've now, whatever we do, we've got the enterable. So really, if it's a home, we just want to print out home. I think that's the easiest thing. So nameable short is just at home in city. So that means we don't need this stuff. We don't need those. We have a nameable. We find the nameable, and we just print out home because the type is home. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So we could do at the blah home. So this is going to be human location home only short. It's just going to say home, and these are going to need, because they do have the description. Oh no, the enter, no, hang on, that's not right. Oh, this is so complicated. The enterable is going to have a location prefix, but that's not used here at all. That's why I'm confused. I don't think the location prefix is used at all. No, so we don't need that. So which one do we use? Oh, it does. We use the hash. So we do use the hash. Sorry, I'm good. I'm just getting confused. So we use that here. We don't use it for the nameable, which means it's not going to have the short or anything added to it. The only thing that's going to have the short added to it is whether or not we say home anywhere. So I could just say call that home. So that just means we print home. That'd be home short. And if we wanted a longer home, we could potentially do that differently. We could say home long. And then the human name is going to use the fixed one and the fixed two, but there's no seed. But that's fine because we could say yeah, there we go, something like that. So basically that means that if we ever displayed a long one, we would be able to do it and it would just set it correctly. So that's all good. Great. So I think that's dealt with display human location, believe it or not. That was much harder than it needed to be. Okay, so we've got too few. Have we got any of those lying about? There was something like that. Hash, I remember hash home somewhere in the source. No, maybe I got rid of that ages ago. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, no matching call for human current city. Yeah, I changed it to need the enterer, but did we need the enterer? We really just need the enterable ID. So wherever we are, basically. Yeah. So actually, we just want the enterable ID, and we collapse this down a bit more. Enterable ID. This is getting good. And in fact, is that the only place that that's called? Yep. Yeah, I'll leave those there though, because it's just a small thing. I don't actually want that in history because it's not actually used anywhere except just in front of here. So that's good. Let's pop it in there. Okay. I did not mean Margit, I meant target. So in case you've just joined, welcome. You are very welcome. I am in the process of giving all of the characters their own home, which is kind of fun. I'm enjoying it, but it's a little bit tricky to do. So display human location, I've totally removed far too many things there. It's got to have a buffer and a max length, so that we can actually copy something into the string. Right, so this display human location should actually be called display relative human location. And it's target and viewer. Oh, interesting. So I've got rid of quite a lot of this. Let's see. Yeah, I'm using the wrong one. I haven't quite understood this. So I need a target enterable ID as well as a enterable ID. There we go. Okay, so displaying a human location is, we don't have a target location. We also need to use the enterer. We can't use the historical figure anymore. Basically what we need to do is say target enterable ID, delete that, and we also need to say viewer enterable ID, because this function is now much simpler. That's going to completely screw up the thing that it was hoping to do. No enabled location in match statement. No, there isn't, because the speaker, interesting. So there might be a number of things that we need to know about the speaker. At the moment it's relationships and locations. So what I'm tempted to do is actually take the speaker ID, take the information I need from that speaker, there as well, and then we can take enterer, speaker enterer, find enterer, and then speaker enterer, speaker enterer. Oops. There, perfect. So now what I'm doing is just trying to, when I see a component used that now requires a different component to be used, I'm actually just passing in the the uint ID for the entity ID for that thing, and then it can go and get its own. Find enterer. Oh yeah, no, I don't think I've got. Did I ever create the enterer? Not sure I ever did. Let's see. Enterer. It's very similar, like I said, to a premises. I could easily create a component for this. So let's call this enterer, and then just rename all of this premises to enterer, and then I want to do the same thing for the lowercase, and I also want to do the same thing, oops, for history. I'm going to put these in the state, and then I'm going to do exactly the same thing here too, the lowercases. So now I have push enterers and find enterers. At the moment I'm just copy and pasting my component viewing code. I don't know what I want to do with it yet, but I'm certainly not ready to remove any duplication there, so I'm going to just keep it duplicated at the moment. Right, and now I need to go to the Unity file and find enterers. Okay. Oh. Obviously removed a bracket by mistake. Okay, undefined method enterer in the state, that's right. We should actually just have enterers in all of those. That's quite right, because I haven't actually put them in yet. Fix the thing as you go. So we need enterer enterers. People that can enter locations. Okay, so that is pointer, yeah, that's fine. Again, it's a pointer, totally fine. Okay, so in this case, I just want the speaker entity ID. Okay, what's next? Oh yeah, now display human location. I am expecting enterers. So display human location if visible. So I want enterer target and equals. Yeah, you see, I could. This is in the GUI though. I could try and break this down, but I'm not going to bother because we're in the highest layer of the game, and I'm perfectly happy with doing this. And actually though, see what's wrong with that? Display relative human location. Oh, I need to redo my tags. State enter viewer, but I'm only using the. Oh. I'm not even using them. So I shouldn't pass the things and then just grab them. I should just do this. Should always just do this. Okay. I spelled it wrong, haven't I? Yes, I have. No, I spelled it wrong here. There we go. Getting there. Right here, I've just got a typo. These are just enterable ID. Same here. Human location, right. Now this is where I was really hated the way I was doing it. I'm actually quite pleased that I don't have to do this anymore. So now, all I have to do, I don't have to pass that. I don't even know what that was for. Let's take target, enterable ID, and enterable ID. In fact, is this just calling the... It's not doing anything. It's doing absolutely zero. That can go completely. Right, so then here I can say whatever the target is, which is possible info last seen enterable ID. That's brilliant. And then it's my enterable ID. Which is not something I necessarily have, but I can easily hoik that out here. So I could just say viewer enterable ID. Great, that is much better than having to do any of that. Great. So this is all working well. This moving to components is just really improving the kind of quality of the code, less screwing around with stuff. I don't mean display relative because I've got rid of that method now. Wasn't doing anything. Okay, so no member named location. We're now a viewer. So what's this? This is whether or not we are here or not. So we're showing a city. We've got the viewer. Potentially we can grab the enterer viewer en. Again, I just need to grab that. And I should be able to say viewer en enterable ID. See if we're in this place. user identifier state. Yeah, that's because it's got to be that. Right, no location, same problem. Is that we don't know whether or not we are in this thing. This is the viewer en. Find, I can actually just hoik that one completely. Now I'd be worried about all of these hash table lookups, but to be honest I'm not, just because this code is it's GUI code. It's not a big deal if this thing totally fails. Move human 2, right, that's moving on. It's not it's a big deal if it fails. It's a big deal if it's not a big deal if it fails to be fast. That's what I really don't care about. Right, so now we are trying to pass in, we need to pass in the en. Brilliant. Because we're moving around with human. It's perfect, which is just what we want to happen. Okay, candidate function, yeah, that's fine. Can't call match statement. That's because this requires the entity ID, which I think is just a viewer. Is that right? Yes. So this can just be viewer. We've already got that. Okay, moving to using entity IDs and components is just really working for me pretty much everywhere. Right here, so we've got the message, doesn't have a location anymore, it's just got an enterable ID. So that's easy. Okay, and then location, yes, that's the same problem. Okay, that's just same problem. This is the human enterable ID. Right, so this is whether or not the human if we're not actually in the place we're supposed to be, that's what this is all about. So let's just grab the enterer. Maybe we should call that the mover. So not the human, it's the enterer, enterable ID, and that still needs to be the human. So we need to find the place to go, and then we need to move to it. Great. Okay, push enterer, that's fine. Another one of these, no enterer name location. Right, this is the same thing, so we can just say enterer, enterable ID, and this is again exactly the same, enterer, enterable ID. And this is just the same, enterer, enterable ID, enterable haircut, candidates, and then we need to decide whether we're going to move to it. So this is the code that makes the AI move around the city. So this again is just the enterer. So it's using two components in tandem. It's using the historical figure to kind of make decisions about what job they should have, because, well, that's probably the wrong thing, but that's what we're using right now. And it's using the history arena. I've decided to use, I think, for the moment, for all components. There we go.